Since we're in October and Halloween is coming up, I thought we can make a very simple and fun family, which would be that of a ghost, or let's say a person dressed as a ghost. So we're going to create this type of family. Let me show it to you now. This was the first edition of the ghost family that I made. So as you can see, it's pretty simple, and it's also parametric, because when I did this, I also thought of the ghosts from Pac-Man, if you remember that game. So for example, here we have Blinky here, which is shorter, Clyde, which is orange and a little bit wider, Ink, and Pinky. So I think it's a family that can be lots of fun to make, and also to populate some of your projects if you want to have a little bit of fun. These ghosts, or this family, is made up basically of two main forms. The first one is a extrusion blend, which would be this part, and then the second one is going to be the revolve or revolution. That is going to be the head. So this is why we see this little line come across, and sometimes you can see two lines as it tries to smooth out the direction or the flow from the head over to the end of the mantle, or of the cape, or the sheet that we're going to be making. Okay, so let's start. Let me delete this, and let's start again with a new, a new family. We can create a new entourage family. Okay, so here we have it. I selected entourage as a category because that's where most of the persons are, but if you want, you can choose another category such as generic models, or I don't know what, or furniture even, I don't know. Okay, so we click OK, and first we start setting up our reference planes. What I'm going to do is just have the basic reference plane set up. We're going to create a box, so we defined what is at the front, right? Then we're going to label it as it is, front. Create the back. Then the left one. Left. And right. It's a good habit to make, to just create the exterior or bounding box for all of your families. Right. And right. So that would be for the plan view, but if we go also to the front, I also would like to have another reference plane, which would be the top.
Okay.
Top. And the bottom, which is already created. Bottoms should be around here. Yeah, okay, here it is. And I'm going to create the last one, which doesn't have to be named, but it's going to be where the extrusion blend stops and then the revolve begins. Okay, so now we have the setup of our families through the reference planes. Next up, before we start modeling, I think it's also a good idea to start creating the parameters that we're going to use, because again, our family is parametric. So first of all, I want to know the radius of the bottom of the family, or the bottom of the sheet. Okay. Then I want to know also the radius of the top of the sheet, or let's say the radius of the let's leave it as a top. Okay. It's at the top. I also want to be able to have or manage the height of this ghost. Height, it's just going to be length. I already have that on. I missed it. And possibly also I also want to add materials to the body. So I'm going to make this parameter named body material. Okay, and I'm going to label it as a material. And maybe even, okay, we can also, we can create the eye material. If you want to change the eye colors also, if you want. Okay, so here we have the parameters are pretty simple, and now we can start. In fact, let's start defining the height right now. Let's say we have 3 feet, and the bottom radius, well, we can choose to have, I don't know, 1.5 feet. And at the top radius, let's have, I don't know, 1 foot. Okay, let's see how this turns out. Okay, so now we have it. And let's start adding the dimensions. Since this bounding box or exterior bounding box is going to be, let's say, the outside perimeter, or as I said, the exterior bounding box, let's all label this as the radius bottom. Okay, and when we go to the front, we can now have this as the whole height, as the height. Okay. And let's say how we can always simplify this and also have this as the radius top, which is going to be 1 foot, something like this. Maybe you can make it a little bit taller. Let me change from the height 3 feet to 4 feet. Okay, all right, so let's start with the first geometry. We go to the reference level, and we want to create the geometry. We're going to set it in the bottom reference plane. And I'm going to create an extrusion or a solid blend. For the solid blend, we're starting out at the bottom, and we're going to be using just 2 lines, and we're going to be using also a spline. But first, these 2 lines will help us control how the spline behaves. So we're going to create something really simple. 2 very, very small lines that are going to be placed at the lateral sides, at the sides. And let me mirror this. Okay, and I want to make sure that they are locked to the exterior reference planes. Okay, so now that we have these 2 lines, they're very small, as you can see. Let me turn off the, or turn on the line thing system. Nothing's happening, maybe because of the scale, but anyways. So now that we have this, we're going to create the spline, and we're going to start off from this end, and we're going to create something little wobbly. This is more up to you on how you prefer to have this. And we're going to end all the way over here. The reason why we're putting these lines is because these help us control how the spline is going to be to scale according to the size of the bottom radius that we give it. So now we're going to do this again. Maybe it's a little bit overdone, but anyways. Nope, I think I did it wrong. Let me do it again. Let's create the spline again. As you can see, I'm not going over the exterior bounding box that I just set up. Okay. You can still modify this if you want, so you can make it as strange or as uneven as you'd like. So here we go. Here we have the inferior or the bottom part to be edited, and now let's go to the top part of the solid blend that we're going to make. And here we're just going to create a circle, which is going to be labeled as the radius top. We're also going to show this center mark and we're going to align it over to the center of our family. So it's going to be like this. Okay, once we're ready, we click OK. Everything seems to be about right. And I always like to align it and lock it, the bottom side to the bottom reference plane and the top side to the top reference plane. Okay, so here it is. Now let's create the top of the head, and for that we're going to create a revolve. We're going to choose the center front back reference plane, and we're going to choose the center of the axis line. And here it's going to have something relatively strange, because if we just create a dome or a circle, it's going to be kind of uneven, or we're going to see this break in the I don't know, in the meeting of the sheet from the body to the head. So what I've done, or we can do, is add another parameter called the angle. Just label it as an angle parameter, like this. Okay, and what I want to do is just make it smoother so that this angle parameter just continues forward and then smooths out over to the top of the head and just goes back. So in order to create this formula, because we're going to need to know an angle formula, I've used the formula that is available in the BIM GYM blog. So here it is. It's called Autodesk Basic Revit Formulae, and here you can check it out. These saves us a lot of time here in the office. So basically we're trying to get an angle. So we're going to be using this formula because we're going to be using this as the height of the ghost, or the body of the ghost, and B is going to be the difference between the radius, the bottom radius and the top radius. So keep this in mind, and we're going to be using this formula, which is going to be equals a tan between parentheses and then A between B. So let me go back and open the family types window, and here, as I've said, it's going to be a tan, and then it's going to be, I've opened up the parentheses, and I'll open it again, and I'm putting in height minus the radius top, closing this parentheses between radius bottom minus radius top. Okay, so now we have this. Oh, I need to finish the expression with another parentheses, and here we have it. So now we have it, the 80 degrees, 0.54, which is going to be this angle. But I want to have the opposite. I want to have just this angle from a 90 degree angle. So I'm going to put 90 degrees minus that. So I know that this angle that the line is, let's say, moving upwards with, it's 9 degrees, 0.46. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm going to create these two lines, and I'm going to align and lock them to these reference planes. Also create a dimension here, because I know that this will always be the radius top. Okay, and now that I have this, I'm going to create this line, and I will assign it to the angle parameter that we just created. So as you can see, now this line is continuing. Okay, so everything that we have to worry about now is just that we have to create the corner that's rounded off. We have to do that. And let's try this with a tangent arc. Okay, let me see if we can reduce it a little bit from, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, something small. Could that be? What do you guys think it would be best? If I just meet them and then round it off, go as small as possible, something like this. Okay, I think it could work. Let me see how are we seeing this in 3D. Not too bad, right? Okay, so let's see if we can create another type. Let's say, let's call this the original ghost. Okay, and then let's create another one called, I don't know. Oh no, I deleted it. Okay, ghost, the original ghost, and let's just call this other one Pinky. Okay, and for Pinky we're going to, I don't know, we want to make him a little bit taller, right? Let's see if it works that way. All right, so it does grow, and the radius bottom, let's make it 2 feet. All right, so our family is working. Let's go back to ghost, and now let's create the eyes. So we're going over to the front, and now we're going to select a void extrusion, and here we're gonna make it, we do have to create the interior definition of this radius. So let me just create another reference plane here where we're going to put the eyes and define it as the radius top. Okay, because the void is going to start here and then go inside. So we're always making sure that the void is cutting through the top part of our ghost. So now when I select the void extrusion, now I'm selecting it as let me go back to the floor plan and void extrusion, and we're going to set the work plane to be here. Okay, and we want to model it in the front view. All right, so here, since I want to make it a little bit silly, maybe I'm going to get an ellipse and make it around 4 inches by 2.5. You can always make it how you like it most, right? So here we have both eyes, center marks. I'm just locking it down into this place. You can also make these locations parametric if you want, but for now I'll just leave it as is. Okay. Oh, we now we have a sad ghost. Okay, so here we have it. If you want, you can leave it like this, but let me go to the plan view and actually invert it, and let me extrude a little bit more. So, okay, I think this would be the appropriate depth. So we have something like this. All right. Okay, I think this is good enough. And now we start adding the materials to it. We select these two shapes, and we create the body. We add the material body parameter to it. Okay, and for this we're going to paint it white. Paint white the interior of the eyes or these ellipses. And for that, let me add these materials. Let me create another white material. Let's call it just white. And it's going to be white, or set it off as the appearance. And for the appearance, let's just put it white. Okay, and we are going to modify and select the paint tool. So we're going to paint the interior of the eyes as white, like this. It's already done. Perfect. And now we're going to create the eyes, or the black of the eyes, or the irises, if we want to get too technical. In order to do that, we have to split face. So we're going to split the white areas. I'm going to go again to the front view. I'm going to select the eyes, and then I'll just create a circle that's like 1 inch. I'm going to leave it here so it's separate. Here we can see it. It's another separate area. And go back to the front and create another separate area by splitting the face of this geometry. Is it the same size? Yeah, it's the same size. Now we can leave it here. You can make it as wacky or as angry or sad as you'd like. So now that we have this, we are going to create a black material, or a black paint. Let's duplicate this one and name it black. Also duplicate generic 2. It's also good that we name these black. And of course make it black color. And white should be white as the name of the appearance. Okay, so we have both black and white. Okay, and we're going to be assigning black to the eye material. Okay, and then we're going to make the black material as part of the attribute of this split face, or the split area. So how are we going to do that? We're going to do it again with the paint tool, but now we're going to select the eye material parameter, which already has the black material defined. And we're going to paint these two. Okay. And for the body, for the sheet of the ghost, we're going to use the canvas, if I remember correctly, the canvas material, and we're going to just make it white. Keep the same type of material that we have, fabric white. Okay, so this would be the canvas, and now we have our ghost, our parametric ghost. But I created another type, which is called Pinky. So just for the sake of making something different, let's also call Pinky, or make Pinky. See, we have to make the void extrusion a little bit longer. But first, let me just change or create, instead of black, let's just say pink, and create a pink color. Okay, which we can use again for the body and the eye material. Okay, so now we have it. We have a pink ghost, or a neon pink ghost. Let's extrude a little bit more. And there we go. Please remember to save your progress. This was a very short exercise. If you want to create a totally different ghost, or if you followed this exercise and you want to share with us, please post it on social media. Here are our links, and we wish you a very happy Halloween and an excellent Dia de Muertos. Thank you.